Hey, you know what we haven't done for a while? We haven't taken time to stop and smell the roses or the cornflowers because we don't have any. And that's why today we're kicking off today's episode with one flower in a hole in the ground. All you gotta do is take a flower and a bone meal and boom! You got a bunch of flowers. This is 100% the way to do this, because if you try to do this with a flower on the surface, not in the 1x1 hole, well, just check it out. Here's what happens. You ready? We're gonna put one right here, and boom! We get like 3 flowers. That's terrible. That's a terrible return for your expense of 1 bone meal, as opposed to doing 1 in the hole just like this. You get boom! Look at all those flowers. And if you do it over and over, you're gonna get a bunch of flowers, which we're gonna need a bunch of flowers today because we're gonna be working with bees for the first time on this channel. Yes, I know, bees have been out for a while, but it's one of those features that I never really got around to messing with, and today is the day. The first thing that you need to know about bees is where to find them, and obviously they live in a bee's nest. Now, where can you find a bee's nest? You can find bee's nests naturally generated in plains, sunflower plains, flower forests, wooded hills, birch forest, tall birch forest hills, tall birch forest hills, pretty much everywhere you can think of in the game, except for like deserts, mesas, the nether. Like, you're never gonna find them in the nether. Naturally, anyway. But there is a way to get bees if you don't have a natural bee's nest anywhere nearby, which we don't. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna come over here. I've got a little tree sapling. We're going to place 1 flower within 2 blocks, and it can be diagonal as well. We'll actually just go ahead and break the one we've got down in this hole here. We don't need it anymore. We'll place 1 flower like right there. As long as it's within 2 blocks of the sapling, there is a chance, I believe it's like 5% chance, that you can get a bee's nest that spawns with this tree. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Let's do it. Hello, tree? Yeah. These are dark oak saplings, so that's not gonna work. Okay, oak saplings should do fine. We're just gonna take almost a whole stack. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Let's go ahead and plant our tree. There we go. This should work now. We should be able to grow an oak tree, and hopefully, on the first try, we'll get a bee's nest. Here we go. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's try that again. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Bee's nest? Hello? That was definitely practice try number 2. Oh, that would work. Well, we got bees in the nether. It's not quite where we want them, but they're here. Maybe we should have put more flowers around the ones out in the overworld. So, okay. Well, we're going to wait for these guys to pollinate these flowers for just a moment. They'll crawl back into their bee's nest. And then we're going to silk touch this thing. There we go. There we go. There we go. Perfect. They all pollinated the flowers. They got some nectar. And we're going to take our silk touch pickaxe and we're going to go boom. And we're going to steal that bee's nest. We'll leave that tree here for now, too. First try. Yep. First try indeed. So now that we do have a bee's nest, here's some interesting facts about bee's nests themselves. Let's just go ahead and find a good tree. Let's go over here, right here next to this flower. We'll plop it down. Because we did use silk touch on this thing, the bees that were in there before do exist in that bee's nest as well. So we can actually store a mob inside of a chest. Well, that's not anything new because we have axolotls now and they go into buckets. Same with tropical fish, so I guess that's not very cool. Anyway, you can store bees in their nest inside of a chest or an item frame and it won't matter. They'll still be in there for the next time that you place it down. Bees will actually stay in their nest or hive for a couple of minutes while we wait on the level of honey to go up inside of the nest, and then they'll come back out and pollinate some more flowers, which, speaking of, let's go ahead and plant a few more of these things around here for these guys, because they will fly relatively close. They'll go a little further if they have to, but they will fly close to the hive or the nest, and they'll pollinate these flowers and bring them back to make more honey. Now, if we do anything with this nest right now, the bees will get very angry. Their eyes will turn red. They'll sting us, and once they sting us, they will unfortunately come to a sad demise. They'll die, because that's what happens with bees in real life when they sting you, right? The other thing about bees as well is that if it starts raining or the sun goes down and it becomes nighttime, they will go back into their nest and they will not come back out until it stops raining or until the sun comes back up. So many interesting facts, but we were talking about angering the bees. If we do anything to anger the bees, they're going to come at us, and we don't want that to happen. So how do we keep them from getting angry? Well, we've already talked about silk touch. If we silk touch this, we can carry it around. They'll stay inside there. They're not going to get mad. It'll be fine. If we come over here with a campfire and place it directly underneath the nest or hive, it will throw up some smoke, and it will subdue these bees to where they will not get mad at us any longer. So now you see that these little honey spots have filled in completely. That means this is fully saturated. We can get honey bottles out of this, or we can come up with a pair of shears, and we can do that and grab ourselves some honeycombs. Now, where did they go? Honeycombs? Oh, there it is. It's on top of the tree. One moment. So then if we try to go up here again while this is still empty, we're not going to get anything from this nest. We need to wait for the bees to go out and grab some more nectar by pollinating the flowers and then filling back up the nest. Oh no, our bees are on fire. No, no, no. Oh no. Oh, rest in peace, little bee. Rest in peace. Note to self, next time, lower the campfire, make sure it's out of range so they don't land on it. Okay, so there's one. Where's your buddy? There's two. So if we feed these guys flowers, they will come follow us and they'll land on the ground right in front of us, or they should. We're just gonna go ahead and go boop, and we're gonna go boop. Now we've got a little baby bee. Maybe. There we go. There's a little baby bumblebee. So now we've got all three of our bees back, and they should all three live inside of this nest, because if there is a vacancy, a bee that is not assigned a home should pathfind into that empty spot. Now, what happens if we breed these guys again? We have 4 bees. Well, one of them is going to be left homeless, so we need more nests, or we can craft hives out of honeycombs. So what we can do is we can go over here, we can grab some planks, we got our honeycombs, and we can go boom. There's a beehive. So now if we breed up these bees anymore and we have more than 3, we can have up to 3 in this beehive as well. Okay, folks, we've got a severe problem. I was off of the Bedrock guide world in my testing world, and I spent 3 hours failing at designs for honey farms in particular. Honeycomb farms are easy. But we'll show that off here in a second. But I finally got a working design and was really excited about it, ready to get back into the world and get moving. And I find out that, well, we've had a visitor. You can probably guess who it is. Hey, look! I got a tree tower. This has to come down. He placed a bunch of trees around my area as well. There's a tree right there, a tree right there, a tree right there, a tree up there, trees in here where they're not supposed to be. Come on, Prowl. But what's worse? Prowl turned my poop deck into a literal poop deck. Are you for real? Are you for real? No, no, no. This ain't gonna fly. This ain't gonna fly. Prowl, don't you even say it. We're gonna get it back. I have plans. Okay, that's much better. All is restored to how it should be. Heading back over here, we've got a few things already set up and in place for our bee farms. Multiple. We're not just going to build one. We're going to build at least 3. These spruce logs right here are representative of honey bottle farms, and I got a really cool design for that, but we'll show you that in a few minutes. This right here is going to be for our honeycomb farms, which is actually the main point of today's episode. And the reason why we're getting honeycombs is because candles have just been introduced into Minecraft, and we need to get some candles, right? So what we need to do to start is we need to go ahead and put some rails down, because our rails are going to be the primary collection system for this farm. And if you've ever seen any kind of collection system for any kind of automated farm like this, you know exactly what we're doing. We're basically going to weave this in and out, in and out, in and out, and then we'll bounce it back off right here, and then it'll flow back up here, and we are going to put hoppers underneath here. Our entire rail line is in place, and we do actually need a solid block right here. So maybe we'll just go ahead and throw a grass or dirt block rather down for now, but then we need to go over here and just cover up this entire area, let the grass grow back in. Whenever a hopper minecart flows under here, if there are any items just sitting on the surface, it will suck it through the ground and into the minecart, and then take it on up here and drop it in our hoppers and on into our storage chest, which is going to go right over here somewhere. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just strategically place a few flowers around this area. They might have to get moved a little bit later depending on if we put a path somewhere over here, but I do want to keep some flowers close by so that our bees decide to stay around this area. Now, I was talking with Prowl about this, and he really encouraged to enclose these farms so that the bees couldn't fly off. And honestly, that might not be a bad idea if you're concerned about that kind of thing, which I don't think that I am. I think it'll be okay because these guys have been flying around here for days and they've not left. I think it'll be okay. So I would love to create an environment where we've got bees flying around here, bees flying around over there, bees flying around over there. And, you know, if they happen to like switch homes or something, that's not that big a deal. As long as they are consistently bringing a pollen into the beehives, which we're about to place next, then I think we're okay because we'll consistently get honey and honeycomb. So here's what we're gonna do. This one right here actually already has bees in it. So when we place it down, they're not gonna fly out just yet, but they might fly out soon. It's already got honey in it. We're not going to collect that because if we do, we might risk angering the bees, and that would be a big problem. But we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beehives sitting there ready for bees. And the interesting thing about these beehives, the same thing as the bees' nests, you can only have 3 bees in at a time. So 6 times 3, that's 18 bees. We need 18 bees to fill all of these. And then we'll have 2 here, 2 there. So that's another 12 bees. That's about as many bees as you'd want flying around a given area. So you don't start getting like lag, things like that. I've got a bunch of dispensers here. And again, these do need to be dispensers. And I'm just going to place 2 down like that temporarily. We'll break this one. And we do need to go like this and place it directly under that block, and then we can break that one. And the reason why we did that is so that the face of the dispenser is actually facing down. The hole is not on top, it is actually facing into the beehive. And inside of this dispenser, we are going to place some shears, which I'll go grab right now. I've got 9 pairs of shears, and we're gonna toss all of them in here. Where's the 9th? There we go. So, these shears will actually break over time, so we will need to manually refill this with shears, but thankfully we've got an iron farm with an unlimited supply of iron. This won't be a big deal to refill. So I did notice a slight issue with this design before I've even finished it. Not a big deal. It'll be okay. I am going to run rail lines underneath this part of the ground as well, just so you know. It needs to come out a little bit farther, so you can collect any honeycombs that might actually fly up this way. All right. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take a comparator and we're going to place it right here. Now you can't. Oh my gosh, Prowl. You're the worst. So how this works, anytime a bee flies in with some pollen and increases the honey level, every time the honey level increases by 1, it emits a signal strength of 1 increased every time. So it will increase up to a level of 5 redstone signal strength, and that is our target goal. Because right now, at the full capacity of honey, it's giving a 5 redstone signal strength. Then what I'm going to do over here is we're going to pop out this dirt, and we're going to place down glass instead. So we've got 1, and then we're going to go up 1. That will be 2, and then we will go up one more. We'll break that back out, and this will be 3, and then this will be 4, and then this will be 5. This right here is actually the most important one to be glass, because if this was a solid block, this dispenser would fire 1 signal strength too early and not actually collect the honeycombs. All right, so this needs to be glass so that it does not power the dispenser until the redstone signal actually is on top of it. All right, then the other thing that you need to know about glass as well is that you can carry a signal diagonally up through it, right? So you can't do this with solid blocks. So it's kind of important that pretty much all of this is glass. So once we get to here, check this out. This signal is already to strength of 5, so this honeycomb is actually going to get harvested as soon as we place this redstone down, because it will power the dispenser and use one of the shears. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Boom! We got some free honeycomb. Now, all we got to do is build this exact same thing 6 more times, and this portion of the farm is pretty much done. We got everything fixed up. All of our dispensers, all of our beehives, all of our redstone, all of our rails, everything is where it should be, and we actually added a second barrel. We only had one over here to begin with, and now we have 2, so we basically just split the rail line right down the middle. And so now, even all the way up to, I think, about here or here, we're going to get mine carts going underneath the grass so that if anything happens to shoot forward, we're going to pick up every single honeycomb possible. And aside from a little bit of decoration, this farm is completely done. So we've got our honeycomb farm. Now it's time to show you the little bit more tricky one, the honey bottle farm. And this is actually where we're going to be building our honey bottle farm. Now, if you see over here, the beehives are on the bottom, the dispensers are on the top. We are actually going to invert that. And what we're going to start with before we do that is a couple of barrels. We'll put one here and one there. Then we'll take some hoppers and go boop, boop, right into the back of both of those. And then we can stand directly on top of the hopper and jump, jump, and jump. There we go. We got the dispensers facing directly upward. And then we'll go ahead and toss a beehive here and a beehive there. And that's the basic layout for how this is going to work. We're going to throw some honey bottles in here. And actually, we're only going to do that one at a time. And here's how we're going to do that. We're going to place a hopper back here and a hopper back here. But if we put anything in here, let's take glass, for example, it's all just going to flow in. And we don't really want that to happen because it's going to go into the dispenser, out that hopper underneath, and straight back into the barrel. So if these were bottles, we're never going to collect the honey. We need a way to precisely unlock this hopper, unlock the hopper underneath, fire the dispensers at the exact moment that the honey becomes available in these beehives. If we do not time this correctly, it will not work. So let me show you how to do that. I'm not super going to worry about decorating this part of the build because we're never going to see it. It's totally fine. But I am going to take a log and I'm going to place one right here and one right here. And out of that log, and by the way, this doesn't have to be a log. It just has to be any solid block. So you can't use glass here. You can't use things like that. So you need solid blocks, and we place a torch right here and a torch right there. Now, the great thing about this torch, because of the placement on the side of this block, is locking this hopper from underneath, and it's also locking this hopper from the side. So if we toss an item in here, nothing happens. Then if we toss an item in here, nothing happens. That's perfect. So that indicates that this hopper is locked, cannot transfer items, and this hopper is locked and cannot receive items. So then very similarly to what we did over here with the honeycomb farm, we do need a comparator here and a comparator there. And because these beehives are going to work exactly the same as those beehives, when the honey level starts to go up, it will eventually reach a signal strength of 5. So we need to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll stop there. Then we can take redstone dust and go 1, 2, 3, 4. And just so we can easily see what these things are, we can place a piece of glass there. We can actually throw that back in there, and then a piece of redstone right there. So that is our output of 5, but it doesn't connect up to anything yet. We needed a gap to be there so that we can place down one repeater going directly into this log. Timings for this are very, very important, so we do need one repeater right there. So hold on to that thought for a second. I'll explain how this all works together when we're done, which we almost are, quite frankly, and then we'll go ahead and place a piece of glass directly next to this repeater, and don't worry, we'll mirror this same thing over here in a minute. I'm just kind of showing you how to build one of them for the moment. Keep in mind, once again, we need a signal strength of 5, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the problem we've run into now is that this redstone dust wants to connect up with this redstone dust, which would only give us a signal strength of 1, 2, and 3, which would mean this would try to fire just a little bit too early. So how we can get around that is by placing a solid block directly above that, and you see how that signal breaks? That is perfect because this redstone signal cannot travel through the side of a solid block, so it's forced to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and not take that shortcut. So that's exactly what we want there. Then we can place another solid block right here next to this dispenser. And this is very, very important as well because we don't want to power the dispenser directly, because if we do power the dispenser directly, it will actually power the dispenser right next to it. And even if there's not honey in there, it's going to try to collect a honey bottle, and it's not really going to do anything, and it might mess up the system. So if we power a block directly next to the dispenser, it's not technically direct powering that, but it will still receive power, but it can't transfer it over to the dispenser next to it. So I know that's a lot of description and a lot of explanation and things like that, but it's all important information to know. So how does this thing work? Because it is actually finished. What this is going to do right here, when this reaches a full signal strength of 5, because the beehive is full, both directions of this line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will fill up at the exact same time. But because there is a 1 tick delay from that repeater on this block, this one will actually power 1 tick before this one, which will allow the dispenser to collect the honey first before that torch is depowered. So it will quickly collect honey. This will become depowered and the honey bottle will drop down into the hopper at the same time that a bottle pushes forward into the dispenser to get it ready to collect more honey the next time this fills up. So that's the basic explanation, and it took me 3 hours to get to this design after trying 100 different things and failing. But here you go. It works. It's great. It's not too big or intrusive. Technically, you probably could use this design right here for honey bottles, but you would have to have 64 bottles in every single slot, and you'd have to make sure that whichever one's getting collected from does not ever hit 0. Otherwise, it's going to start collecting honey bottles and leaving them in the dispensers and so on and so forth. So this is just not a good application for honey bottles. This will only allow 1 bottle at a time in the dispenser, and it will directly collect it every single time. So we'll do the same thing here. We'll toss down a couple of flowers, but that's basically it. I'm going to go ahead and hook this one up right here, and I'm going to make one right over there, and we'll test it all out and make sure it's all working. Now, all we need to do is go up here and temporarily break this and that, because our beehives are actually already full, and they're ready to collect. So what we're going to do, we're going to preload the dispenser. Doesn't matter what slot you put it in. We're going to preload with 1 glass bottle. And then we're going to go back to the hopper back here, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, minus the one that we already put in. And then we can go ahead and reconnect it, and you'll see very quickly, and you'll hear the click of the dispenser, that this just starts activating. You ready? Here we go. There goes the torch. That was a very quick flash. You see that there is a honey bottle in there, and we'll actually take that out. We'll toss it on into our barrel, and we'll go ahead and steal 1 more bottle from the inventory and toss it in there just like that. And this should work properly now that everything's connected up and reset. We'll go ahead and do the same thing over here to get that one all ready to go. And now we wait. All right, now we're cooking. This one over here is already at a signal strength of 3, so it shouldn't be long now. And while we're waiting, let's go check on our honeycomb. So far, oh my goodness, over a stack and a half in there. Over a stack and a half in there. Wow. Almost 4 stacks from this farm in just the little bit of time that we've been building this. That's absolutely nuts. We're going to show you here in just a second what we're going to be doing with those. And we're at a signal strength of 4 now on this side. So any moment we should be getting a honey bottle. You can confirm there's one right there that we already collected. This is an empty glass bottle. We should hear the click and see it fire off. Oh, there it went. There it went. There it went. That one fired off. There is a empty glass bottle in there. And now there's still an empty glass bottle. Confused. Oh, so that's actually relocking quicker than expected. I think there actually may have been a glass bottle already in the hopper down there below that was messing it up. So let's actually hold up for a second. All right. There may be a honey bottle locked in this bottom hopper at all times. So let's wait a couple more minutes, and we should confirm that theory. What should happen now, because I have confirmed we've taken the glass bottle that was in there out, so now we still have one honey bottle, one glass bottle, one glass bottle, and back here, one honey bottle and one honey bottle. So when this fires off, this should collect, drop down, the one that's already in there should push forward, another glass bottle should refill into the dispenser, and leave the one that gets sucked out of here in that hopper below waiting for the next click of the contraption. So yeah, that does confirm that theory. Unfortunately, I didn't know that while I was testing. I didn't actually check that, so there you go. Honey bottle stuck in the bottom hopper. That's okay. It's only losing one bottle at a time, and eventually that one will come through. And there it goes. Perfect. There go all the bees ready to collect more pollen. And we've got two honey bottles, and again, to confirm, there is one stuck in the hopper below, but that's totally fine. It should pass through the next time the system opens up. So there you go. We've got a fully working honeycomb farm and a fully working honey bottle farm. Now, what to do with these things? Let's talk about honey bottles first. This is actually a consumable item. You can drink it, and it will restore 3 of your little hunger on your hunger bar. And the added benefit, it will remove any poison effects that you have on your player. So if you come across a witch and you're like, oh my gosh, I gotta run away, I've been poisoned. Or if you run into a cave spider, same thing. You can drink a honey bottle, and it will take that poison effect right away. The nice perk about that is it will not take away any of your other status effects. So if for some reason you have night vision on while you're going caving and you run across a cave spider, drinking a honey bottle will remove poison, but it will not remove your night vision. So that could be a good or a bad thing depending on your circumstance. Other things that you can do with honey bottles, you can place one of them into the crafting table and get 3 sugar out of it. So if you're interested in baking cakes, things like that, you can get honey and make some sugar. Then you don't necessarily have to have a sugarcane farm. You can use bees to do the sugar farming for you. Then you can also take 4 of these, put them in the crafting grid just like that, and make 1 honey block. And when you do make a honey block, it does leave the 4 empty glass bottles for you, and you can go put them back into the system to refill them once again. These honey blocks are actually really cool because you can use them for interesting mechanics, like you can slowly fall because they're very sticky, and they actually cause you to walk a little bit slower as well. And you can actually place these next to slime in redstone contraptions, and the slime won't stick to it, so it can create some really interesting redstone mechanics. We might have to try this out sometime soon. On to our honeycomb. We've actually almost got 2 stacks in each of these. This is amazing. Keep going, little honeycomb farm. We'll take a few of these out. 1.17 introduced a new ore into the game, copper, and if you collect enough copper, you can create a copper block. The interesting thing about copper is that it is a brand new type of block where if you leave this sitting here long enough, the state of the block will change over time. From this nice bronze color to a little bit of a teal green. Think the Statue of Liberty in the United States of America, if you're familiar with that. And it basically oxidizes over time. And you can lock any one of those states in by taking a honeycomb and boop, waxing it right on there. So this is no longer just a regular copper block. If we pick it back up, it is identified as a waxed copper block. So this will never change color. We won't get that teal green. If we use this for a particular build and we want it to stay that way, honeycombs come in very, very handy. If we want to remove the waxed effect, we can go ahead and right click on that like we would on a tree bark to get a stripped tree log, and this returns back to a regular copper block, as you can see right there, and it will oxidize over time. Another super cool thing that we can get out of a honeycomb are these guys right here, just introduced into the game. If we drop honeycomb right there and string right there, we can get candles. Oh, it's so cool. We got 54 candles, and guess what? We can go in here, we can take a dye, and we can dye them blue. We can dye them any color we want, but blue is the best. And then we can just go around our build. I don't know that I'm going to keep this here because the blue doesn't actually fit the theme, but we can just go around and place candles in random spots. They don't work on like stairs and slabs and things that are transparent like that, so you'll have to find specific places to put them. But then if you've got a flint and steel, you can go in here and light the candles, and it just looks so cool. These actually work the same way as sea pickles. You can place up to 4 on the same block, and they do become lit because the fire is spreading there, which is also very cool. Depending on how many candles you have on a certain block will determine the brightness of that light source. So this could provide some very, very cool atmosphere. We'll have to figure out a way to incorporate this into the base. So that's it, guys. Those are the farms. Make sure you don't buzz off. Thank you so much for choosing to watch this video today. If you want more content just like this, be sure to check out the Bedrock Guide playlist right here on the end screen.